Thank you. Okay, now we have all four presentations here. So before actually opening to the floor, let me actually, because I think I summarized each and every presenter's presentation. So let me just, instead of summarizing it, let me just ask a question for each and every one. Just for each. Ms. Kobo, are you there? Can you hear me? Ms. Kobo? Who's gone? She's on? Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, good. Actually, I learned a lot from your presentation. My question, make it shorter. Actually, I think that the United States, have now Office of Director of National Intelligence. They established it after 9/11 terrorist attack. After that, they realized that the few problems you actually identified for the current Ecuadorian international intelligence system is very similar like yours. Actually, the Office of Director of National Intelligence in the United States is very similar. It actually combined all the intelligence system in their country about 10 years, 12 or something like that, 12 or 16. Actually, different kind of the branch of the offices. It became under the supervision of one director. So the problem is they were to cross-checking the intelligence gatherings and the intelligence analysis, and also the try to prevent the competition, overt competition among these different agencies. So they created it. So, but you said this is problematic. Why? I mean, it's going against it. Okay. So that was my first question. The second question is, you said there is a problem with the designing of the structure of the system. But to me, you pointed 6 problems with that structure. But to me, it's not problem with the structure. It's rather problem of management. The structure doesn't have anything to do with the problems you pointed out. So that's my question. The second, actually, Mr. Fuad, have you heard of the whole of government or whole of nation approach? And you pointed out, it seems to me that you actually suggest better solution lies in this kind of more integrated and coordinating effort. So that's what called exactly in whole of government coordination approach. So maybe you can find some kind of useful thing from that kind of materials. But actually, the thing actually reminds me of that. That problem is usually when you talk about this kind of propaganda and also counter-propaganda kind of strategy, there is some kind of dilemma between how can you protect the national security versus how can you protect human security, personal, the privacy. So, have you ever thought about that kind of dilemma with it? Third is Pereira. Okay, you said, that it's wrong. It's not actually acceptable. The country, Catalina, in Spain. But you mentioned about the Montevideo Convention. There, you said that independence and government, 2 factors. But actually, these nations, or these nations, actually try to get independence and government. Right? That's why they announce they pursue the recognition. So without, it cannot be a reason for not being recognized, because that's what they want to have. So, and also I think that there is actually well-known principle of self-determination. If certain group of people, that we call nation, not ethnic group, it's a difficult information. Why don't they pursue that their independence with a non-violent method? Why not? I mean, let them. That's my case. Okay. 4. You can see one. Okay. I think that's you made a very interesting point. Okay. You need the economic diplomacy for the Singaporean, Sri Lanka. And so one of them is pushing more aggressively or actively with making FTA to trade the government. Why? You haven't explained it. You explained it only there's a big market there. But that's not the explanation at all. I mean, of course there are a lot of big markets out there, many countries. You have to be more specific. Why? The bilateral, the FTA is more kind of beneficial to your country. You have to be more specific. And with whom? You have to kind of analyze pros and cons, advantages, cost and benefits. Why you need that? Actually, frankly, when I read your abstract, I thought this can change the world in the Pacific. Now we emphasize Indo-Pacific. So because of that, actually Sri Lanka now gained geopolitical advantage. So it's kind of newly acquired asset of your geopolitical advantage. It can be a leverage for your economic diplomacy. So I thought that that's would be your kind of logic and argument, but I couldn't see that kind of argument, unfortunately. So have you ever thought of that kind of argument or development, your kind of analysis for that? That's my question. Okay. While thinking answer to my question, why don't you ask your question to our presenters? Now I'll open the floor to ask a question to our presenters. Okay, while gathering the questions from the audience, you can go to the next one. Okay? Anybody? Okay?
Thank you. 3 great presentations. 3 quick questions. One to Mr. Ujay Sinha about seeing this. So Ujay Sinha, seeing the entire bilateral agreements as diplomatic policies between nations, I would like your opinion as to see the other side of the coin. Then diplomacy itself, this could be strategy by the more powerful nation. It could be the use of soft power or the use of smart power. And when you have a bilateral agreement, who's being smart? It's generally the more powerful state, and in your context of the presentation, the more economically powerful state. So it's rather than being diplomatic by Sri Lanka, it could be being played by the smart player. There's a question, and also from Pereira, you outlined that in the terms of additional statehood criteria with regard to independence, that Catalonia does not have it because they do not have a constitution. But that is not a barrier because it's a regional government, and the moment the regional government passes and enacts a constitution, according to the conventions and also especially according to international customary law, that criteria will be fulfilled. Most importantly to Mr. Ford, he spoke extensively about the Kaptankud issue, which I had followed with a lot of academic research interest. And you spoke about the need for a strategic task force, that was the exact term that you used, to combat such extremist violence in Sri Lanka. Do you not think, my third party observation was that the Kaptankud issue or the Candy issue, which arose recently, was very well managed by the state, and also especially with a lot of cooperation and extensive capacity of the Sri Lanka armed forces, private forces. So having such a successful and a well-doing armed forces, do you think we still need a special task force? Because I feel that our armed forces are very well capable in handling it at the moment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, let's stop here and then listen to the answer first, and then I will open the floor again. Okay. So which one?
Actually, to answer your question, you are absolutely correct. Yeah, the security forces managed to bring the situation in control, but what I was referring to is a crisis prevention mechanism, not a mechanism to react. So when we talk about violent extremism, it is a process that occurs. Radicalization is a process. And when I mentioned about a task force, I emphasized on an integrated strategic communication task force. Let me mention it again, a strategic communication task force, a department quite similar to the Research Information Communication Unit, which functions under the British government, or the Global Engagement Center, which was previously known as the Center for Counterterrorism Strategic Communication, which functions under the US State Department, which have effectively played a key role in combating extremist narratives, radicalization, and extremist propaganda. So, in that context, I was referring to combating extremist narratives, extremist propaganda. So, what I was trying to focus here is on countering propaganda and not countering the situation on the ground. Did I answer the question?
So in the US, which is not, that strategy or that institution does not fit our institutional framework. So those two, though they have success stories, they have their own failures, they are not completely successful, but they do not fit in the Sri Lankan context. I think currently the state, in means of armed forces, is doing a better job than they do. Yeah.
Of course, it could work in an integrated mechanism where the armed forces, of course, could play a key role in projecting counter-terrorism or counter-extremist propaganda narratives. Because the objective here is to ensure that violent extremism does not occur through the online domains, and to ensure that a combatant, non-combatant doesn't evolve into a radicalized enemy combatant. Because we live in a world where lone wolf type attackers exist, and in such a situation these guys commit atrocities alone and act based on motivations and based on the inspiration that they get from online extremist propaganda. So it is a mechanism to prevent such violent acts occurring. It is of course, it's an alternative to censorship, because censorship in many cases have not been 100% success. But a gradual process of countering extremist narratives have proven to be a success.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to Ms. Kobo. It's your turn. Please answer your question.
Hello, is my time to answer?
Yes, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for your kind comments about my presentation. I wish I would answer in the right way because the audio is not so clear. In first instance, in the past, we had a strong support from the United States of America, from England and other countries of the European Union to establish the security system and of course the intelligence system in Ecuador. So mostly all of the fundings, for example, for drug fight and terrorism fight inside Ecuador come from the United States. As an example, from the buildings till the special amounts of money that you need to pay for information inside the criminal organization. All of that came from the United States. And that created a problem because the loyalty of this intelligence corps was perceived as just for the United States, not for Ecuador. And a misreading of the way this kind of international cooperation worked make possible the ex-president Rafael Correa to position as a bad thing this cooperation with the United States. In fact, when the cooperation with the United States in the fight against drugs ended as a consequence of the change in the policy and inside the intelligence system, the drug trafficking in Ecuador grew up. And now we appear in a privileged site on the ranking of drug trafficking in the region. And that happened with the cooperation with the United States. Now we have another president. The government had changed, and we are trying to go back in time and trying to recover some of the international cooperation with the European Union and United States and other countries to fight against drugs and organized crime. Some of the studies of United Nations organized crime section said that Ecuador was a kind of refuge for organized crime structures because to come inside Ecuador you don't need a visa as a tourist, and anyone inside the country is considered with the same rights as Ecuadorian citizens. And that is good for human rights, but that can be bad for security of the country if you don't have all the capabilities. That's for the first question. I'm not sure I hear well. And about the second question, that one I was able to hear better. As you said, there's not a problem in the structure, inside the intelligence system. The problem, and I wasn't able to explain this very well, and I thank you for the question. That helps me a lot to clarify my point. The problem is the characteristics, the cultural characteristics inside the structure of that is supposed to centralize the intelligence information inside the country. The first and the most nocive characteristic is that more than the 90% of the people that works in this agency that centralize intelligence of the country is not bureaucracy from a career, from how can I say, from a career or from a that has formation in intelligence. The 90% of the people working in this office is people that belongs to the party of the government, Alianza País, and that is put there to work without any knowledge about security, intelligence, and it's people that earns a lot of money, and it's easy to make these people.
Ms. Cobo, please just
Yeah.
wrap it up, okay? Sorry.
Okay, I will. Yeah. So, and that's the worst thing, the bad politicization inside the intelligence system, and also the mistrust between the military, the police, and the civil section of the intelligence system. In the actual circumstances, military intelligence do not trust in civil intelligence that is supposed to centralize all the intelligence of the country. So, to improve, we must recover the past. We must make peace with the intelligence, military intelligence, police intelligence, and we must refocus the intelligence system to serve the national security, not just one party, not just one person. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I should ask just one question instead of two. I realize that. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Catalonia is under the Spanish government, and after the Spanish constitution, it has to be done according to the Spanish constitution. Just because Catalonia has the idea to be independent government, it can't do that overnight. It has to have a process. It has to either get into consent, get into a mutual agreement with the mother state or mother state, and then only they can get into the agreement. Yes, we are a separate country. We are a separate state. Just because they tell that we have this, because we fulfill this criteria and we need to be determined. So we have to be a sovereign state, we have to be an independent state. They can do it because they are under the Spanish constitution, they are a regional government under the Spanish constitution.
The question is geopolitics. As I believe, geopolitics has shifted, now it is geoeconomics. If you look at I presented one of my papers, slide 5, I point out 4 reasons why the fulcrum of geopolitics has shifted from Eurasia to Asia Pacific, and all these 4 reasons are economic reasons. I will try to answer both the questions that once I've tried. Why FTAs? At a glance, you may see FTAs is about increasing exports. That's it. But beneath, it creates jobs. It encourages investments. It at the end of the day, it increases by creating jobs. It enhance the quality of life of people. And most of these, what I told these countries, all these countries are not what I think we should sign. All these countries are countries with whom Sri Lanka is going to, with whom they have already started discussions. And who will be benefiting? The next question. When Sri Lanka was going to sign the FTA with India, the same trend was there. There were protests saying that India is a larger market. India would invade Sri Lanka because of the larger market. No. Sri Lanka, as a small state, has 2 options. Either go for these free trade agreements, make the maximum use of it, or be in the shell. And the question is, how long we can be in the shell? How? Either we have to be competitive, or we either be in the shell and see with who else we should sign the FTA. We should maximize the opportunities. We should seek the opportunities, and sometimes we should take the risk as well. I think
You have mentioned my case.
yeah.
Look at the America right now. Let's take a simple example. Donald Trump, he started to negotiate every FTA, right? So signing FTA does not guarantee Sri Lanka to increase your trade with that country. It can be cost to you. I mean, no. I'm not arguing for that. That part, that answer to that question is what you should say in your paper. I'm not saying having FTA is beneficial to you. Of course it can be. I don't know. But why it's beneficial to you? To which kind of industry? Or which kind of strategy you have to use? I mean, kind of negotiation tactic you have to use to get others sign FTA with you. Something like that. That you don't answer. Okay? It's okay. Anyway. So, okay, now I open the floor to answer the question. Go ahead.
Thank Professor. I'm Kailash Peterson from Sri Lanka Air Force. My question goes to Ms. Pereira. Is there the constitutional requirement? Is there any major force for this Catalonian people to ask independence, such as human rights violations or any other injustice?
No, they don't have any such violations. It's basically the constitutional restrictions.
The other thing is, it's not a landlocked country.
Yeah.
So they may request from UN or some other bodies to consider their request because they have some avenues.
Yes, to give them naval space and the air space.
We may research in that aspect for effective.
My question is Mr. Far. It's about violent extremism. In today's context, the violent extremism, as I identified, that they attack mind state rather than land state. So for the main source, they are using the social media. And given that censoring is not that going to be effective because there are many other ways to go through this censoring. So what you think, how we can prevent these because it strikes terror in all over the world. They strike somewhere in the world, some brutality is on the web, and it strikes terror in all over the world. So ISIS, for an example, ISIS is not in Sri Lanka, but the moment we hear the name of ISIS, every Sri Lankan will fear. So what are the measures we can take to prevent such terror spreading over the world?
Yeah, as I mentioned previously in my presentation, I referred to having a counter-messaging spectrum. It was developed by the Institute of Strategic Dialogue, which focuses on government strategic communications, alternative narratives, and counter-narratives. So when we talk about government strategic communications, it is to present the government's policy or image on its fight against terrorism in a positive manner. Alternative narratives is to find a method to provide compelling stories and narratives to alter the perception or the mindset of an extremist organization or a person who is vulnerable to radicalization. In counter narratives, what we would do is we would counter directly extremist content. So in this scenario, the best option in countering violent extremist narratives is to adopt these strategies. These strategies can be implemented through, as I mentioned, an integrated strategic communication task force, because communication is the key. The key weapon of any terrorist group is not its ability to strike or commit violent atrocities. Its key is how they project the image, of terror. So the only way that we can counter it is by challenging their ideology, challenging the extremist narratives. That is the only way forward in the current age of propaganda warfare. If you see, there is a trend in terms of ISIS or any extremist group, they operate through social media networks. They operate through using end-to-end encrypted platforms. So, in order to have a comprehensive counter extremist measure, we have to look into the communication aspect of it, because communication is the key in countering such extremist groups.
Thank you. One last question. Yeah, I will accept one last question. Anybody? No? Good. Yeah. Let's close it. Okay. Everybody wants to go home. Okay, good. Actually, why I'm listening to this presentation and reading abstract of all presenters, paper, I tried to find out the kind of common theme shared by all four of them. But it was not easy. And we have two non-traditional kind of security issues and the other two actually traditional. So the issue-wise, it's not we cannot say one thing. But I found out that the approaches to solve this problem is mostly belong to the liberalism. So so-called liberal paradigm, especially relational stuff. So that emphasizes institutions, international laws, international cooperation, economic integration, something like that. So that's it's kind of surprising because being liberal or this is called liberalist. Being liberalist in the countries like Sri Lanka or even South Korea, the small or middle states, pursuing that liberal kind of argument or the line of policy, it's quite sometimes dangerous because it's a kind of leisure, a luxury for people like us to pursue that way, because I think it's a liberal way of solving problems is fit to mostly to the great powers, the superpowers, because they have a kind of room to make a mistake. But for us, mistake means insecurity-wise it can be possible to solve, right? But still, many people still kind of emphasize that kind of line of policy. I think it's also that means we can have more. So it's okay. So actually, we talked about a lot of insecurity issues, and also it says it means I think that we have a lot of diverse problems. That's why we emphasize comprehensive security, right? And to solve that, the important thing is, even though I actually criticize the liberal approaches for the smaller business countries like us, but that's the way it should go actually, right? Cooperation, no matter how strong you are, you cannot solve this problem alone. So the cooperation, coordination, the collaboration is important. So that's the important lesson we can have, I think, from this panel and this conference. For that, I think that this conference like this, also very important to come to to come to the same place and to talk about the problems, raise the problems, think about how to solve it together. So that's the big benefit that actually this kind of internationally organized conference can contribute to make the world better and safer and more peaceful. So for that, I think I really appreciate and commend this university to organize this outstanding, fantastic conferences. I personally thank you for that, and also thank you all of you waiting on this last moment, and also I thank you the panelists too. Okay, I think that for that I think that we all deserve the applause. Okay, it comes. Yeah, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have successfully concluded the Defense and Strategic Studies final technical session of KDU IRC 2018, which explored an array of diplomacy and foreign policy from different perspectives. We are thankful to the presenters for sharing their knowledge with us, and to give away the certificates to the presenters of the session, I have the honor of inviting Rear Admiral J.J. Ranasinghe, the Vice Chancellor of General Sir John Kodalala Defence University. A. Suraj, S. Pereira, H. Vijay Singha. We are also grateful for the participation of the chairperson, Professor Yong Ho Kim, and we shall now present a token of appreciation to the chairperson. Sir, please remain on the stage. Now let me invite the members of the expert judge panel who has evaluated the presentations of the presenters of KDU IRC 2018 to the stage to present their certificates in appreciation of their valuable service. Professor Aman Jayawardena, Professor Sarat Amanugama, Colonel J.M.C. Jayavira, Mr. Satish Mohantas, Mr. H.M.N. Herat. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we had the privilege of listening to 16 paper presenters who shared their valuable knowledge with us. At KDU, we acknowledge and reward the best effort taken. During the session, an expert judge panel has evaluated the presentations, and we are now ready to announce the award for the best paper at Defense and Strategic Studies technical sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, the award for the best oral presentation goes to A. Farad. Thank you, sir.
I hereby declare IRC 2018 closed.